This guide covers how to integrate an OpenVox wireless gateway with FreePBX 15 using SIP. The goal is straightforward. FreePBX controls the call logic, and the wireless gateway provides cellular connectivity to the mobile network. By the end, you'll have a working SIP trunk between the systems, verified inbound and outbound calling, and a few production-ready use cases like IVR, queues, and recording. Here's the architecture we're building. Bidirectional calling between an internal FreePBX extension and the external mobile network through the OpenVox gateway. On outbound calls, extension 3002 places a call, FreePBX selects SIP trunk 1008, and the gateway relays the call to the mobile network. On inbound calls, the mobile network reaches the gateway on cellular port 1. The gateway delivers the call over trunk 1008 into FreePBX, and FreePBX sends it to extension 3002 using inbound routing rules. Keep this call flow in mind. It explains why we must configure routing on both FreePBX and the gateway. Step 1 is creating the SIP trunk in FreePBX that the gateway will register to. In FreePBX, go to Connectivity, then Trunks, and add a SIP trunk. Use 1008 as the trunk name so it stays consistent across the configuration. Set the host to Dynamic. This allows the gateway to register instead of relying on a fixed peer definition. Set both username and from user to 1008 and set the type to friend so calls can be handled in both directions. Finally, set the context to from trunk so inbound calls land in the expected trunk context and are processed by inbound routes. Next, create the internal extension we'll use for registration and testing. In FreePBX, go to Applications, then Extensions, and add a new SIP extension with number 3002. Configure the authentication credentials. The secret or password is what your softphone will use to register. Treat extension 3002 as the internal endpoint for validating the whole setup. It should ring on inbound mobile calls, and it should be able to place outbound calls through the gateway. With the trunk and extension created, we define routing, so FreePBX knows when to use trunk 1008 and where to send incoming calls from it. For outbound routing, create an outbound route that matches the dialing patterns you want to send through the wireless gateway, and make sure trunk 1008 is selected as the route's trunk. Pattern matching is the control point here. Only numbers matching the pattern will leave through the gateway. For inbound routing, create an inbound route for calls arriving on trunk 1008 and map those calls to destination extension 3002. If you use DID or caller ID matching, configure those fields so FreePBX can choose the correct destination. Both outbound and inbound routes are required. Configuring only one side results in one-way calling. Now switch to the gateway and start with basic network connectivity. Log into the gateway web interface and go to Network, then LAN settings. Assign an IP address in the same subnet as the FreePBX server, and set the subnet mask, default gateway, and DNS servers as appropriate for your network. Before you touch any SIP settings, confirm that the gateway and FreePBX can reach each other. At minimum, verify IP connectivity with a ping test. If this layer is unstable, SIP registration and calls will fail intermittently. Step 5 is creating the SIP endpoint on the gateway so it can register to FreePBX. In the gateway web interface, go to SIP, then SIP endpoints, and add a new endpoint. Set the name and username to 1008. This must match the FreePBX trunk credentials. Configure the password. The example uses 112.34578, but in production, you should use a strong secret. Set registration mode to client, meaning the gateway actively registers to FreePBX. Then set the host to the FreePBX server IP address and use port 5160 as shown. Once saved, confirm the status shows registered That registration state is the prerequisite for reliable call setup. After the SIP layer is up, configure the gateway's internal routing rules so it knows how to translate between cellular and SIP. Go to Routing, then Call Routing Rules, and create a new rule. For inbound handling, route calls coming from cellular port 1 to SIP endpoint 1008, so they can enter FreePBX through the trunk. For outbound handling, route calls coming from SIP endpoint 1008 to cellular port 1, so FreePBX originated calls can exit to the mobile network. Use pattern matching to control what is allowed and how numbers are handled. Save changes and apply the configuration so the rules take effect. Now register the client endpoint. In your soft phone, set the extension to 3002 and enter the matching authentication credentials you configured in FreePBX. Point the server to the FreePBX IP address using port 5060 as shown. Once the account is saved, confirm the extension shows as online or registered. Without a registered endpoint, you won't be able to validate routing or media in a controlled way. With everything registered, validate both directions. For an inbound test, call the SIM number associated with gateway port 1 from a mobile phone and confirm extension 3002 rings and answers. For an outbound test, dial a mobile number from extension 3002 and confirm the call routes out through the gateway successfully. During both tests, verify audio quality in both directions, not just call setup. Then check the FreePBX call detail records to confirm the calls are logged as expected, and watch registration status to ensure it remains stable throughout the tests. Use case 1 is an IVR, which lets you automate how inbound callers are routed. In FreePBX, create an IVR under Applications and record or upload voice prompts for the menu. Then map keypad digits to destinations. For example, send 1 to sales, 2 to support, and 3 to billing, using extensions or queues. Finally, update the inbound route for trunk 1008 so incoming calls land on the IVR instead of going directly to a single extension. This is a common next step once basic inbound calling is working. Use case 2 is a call queue, typically for support or sales where multiple agents share incoming load. In FreePBX, go to Applications, then Queues, and create a queue like Support Queue. Add multiple agent extensions as members, either as static agents or allowing dynamic login. Choose a strategy that matches your operations: ring all, round robin, least recent, or fewest calls. Then set music on hold, maximum wait time, and what happens when the caller times out. To use the queue, route calls into it, either directly from an inbound route or from an IVR option. Agents can log in and out with feature codes, using 4 to log in and 46 to log out, so staffing can change without editing the queue members list. Use case 3 is call recording. In FreePBX, you can enable recording at different levels, per extension, per inbound route, or per outbound route. Choose a recording mode, always, on demand, or never, based on your policy. For on-demand recording, agents can use feature code 1 during a call to start or stop recording. Recordings are then accessible in the CDR reports, where you can locate a call by time, source, destination, and play back the audio. For this gateway integration specifically, enabling recording on the inbound route tied to trunk 1008 captures incoming mobile calls, and enabling it on relevant outbound routes captures external calls placed through the gateway. At this point, the integration is complete. The SIP trunk and extension are configured, routing is set on both FreePBX and the gateway, and bidirectional calling has been validated with real test calls. You've also seen how to extend the deployment using IVR, call queues, and call recording. Before moving into production, Apply security hardening appropriate to your environment. Then monitor call quality and performance using logs and CDRs. From here, you can expand into additional FreePBX features as needed. If you need assistance with deployment, troubleshooting, or product guidance, here are the official OpenVox contact details. You can reach sales at sales@openvox.cn and technical support at support@openvox.cn. The main website is www.openvoxtech.com, and documentation is available at help@openvoxtech.com. For formal correspondence, the slide also includes the company address in Shenzhen and the listed phone numbers.